So lately I've been on a credit card spree, looking at different banks and issuers that I don't have in my credit file as of now. And so I did come across Bank of America, and I don't feel like they have really competitive cards. But for the most part, I don't have one in my file, so I decided to add one. And this is kind of data points of, what I went through and what I'm going through with Bank of America as of right now. It's kind of interesting. So I did go through my 3 credit agencies, and I ended up, unfreezing my TransUnion report. Now, I did look on Reddit, and they did say that sometimes with Bank of America, they do pull either Equifax or TransUnion. So I kind of wanted my TransUnion report pulled for the reason that I have 0 inquiries. It's not going to hurt me as much. But with my Experian credit file, with that one, I do have about 5 inquiries. So, I didn't want, another inquiry on that end. So for the most part, I ended up applying for, I think it was the Bank of America cash rewards card, and I think it's the red card. So I was really interested on that 0% interest offer that they do currently have on their card, just because I have a business expense coming up, and I kind of want to just pay that over time a little bit. So I ended up applying for the card, and from my experience, the first thing that happened was I applied for it and it went straight into a pending review. So I'm like, okay, went through a pending review. Some banks, they, sometimes they go through pending, it's not like a denial. So the next step I took was actually called the reconsideration line, or Bank of America's, I guess, customer service. And so, when I was talking to them, they did mention that my credit file was frozen and they wanted to pull Experian. But the lady also mentioned that she's willing to pull TransUnion if that file is unfrozen, which I gave the okay for. Ooh, there's a lot of traffic right now. Anyways, which I gave the okay for. So she went ahead and she pulled TransUnion. And then she did say that she was gonna, look at my file. It was gonna take a couple of minutes, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Came back on the line, and she was like, you are approved for the card. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then, I asked her, it's possible if I can get it expedited. And so, just because I like my cards expedited, but waiting is totally fine too. It's not like I needed it ASAP, but she was like, yeah, I can see if, we can go ahead and expedite it. And then she did mention to me sometimes Bank of America does ask for certain documentation, and that, she might need that documentation. I'm like, okay, that's not a problem. I mean, I can go ahead and provide any information you need. So then, she goes back, and then she comes back on the line, and she's like, you know what, it looks like we're gonna, there's some documentation that's gonna be needed from you. And I'm like, okay, but the card's approved already. And then she said, yeah, so right now the card is on hold. They're not going to issue it out until they receive the information. I'm like, okay, so how can I send this information then that you guys are requesting? And she did say I should be receiving a letter in the mail. All right. So I'm waiting. The week goes by. I finally received the letter. All right, so on the letter, it did say that they may need an SS82, I believe so, or it's SS89. And so what that basically is, it's a Social Security verification. So it's either send in the Social Security verification or send a copy of my ID. Okay, so that was the first set of documents that they needed. And then the second set of documents was basically stating that they needed either some tax information or a pay stub. So I'm kind of contemplating whether or not I do want to send that information or not. Because also when I was talking to them over the phone, they did say that mailing the documents was the only way. There's no electronic version to send in the documents, nor you can't go in branch to send in the documents. And it's kind of personal information, but that's where I'm kind of contemplating. She did say that you can always send it for like express shipping or next day or overnight, but that comes out of the cost. They usually charge, when you send things like that. But for the most part, yeah, so I'm kind of contemplating whether or not, I want to send in those documents, and if I do send in the documents, for sure it's going to be probably just my ID and my pay stubs, because that's kind of what they're requesting. I feel like the whole Social Security thing might be a little too much for me, just in case if that letter gets lost, and I don't want anybody getting a hold of that information, as well as like my tax information. So some banks do this. I know with American Express, they do like freeze your accounts, and they do ask for certain documentation, but you know, from a bank that, you know, you're just applying for to get the card, yeah, this is something new. I know with Chase, usually when they do request some verification, they normally just ask over the phone and they gather some information, and that's about it. So I'm not too sure what's going on with Bank of America on this end. I mean, I know it's to prevent fraud from happening, but yeah, so I'm still thinking about it. They did say after I submit the documents that it was going to take about 10 to 20 days, and you do have to submit the documents, you know, before 30 days. So within 30 days you have to send in the documents. So yeah, I'm still thinking about it. I still got about a week left to decide or not if I want to send it in, but yeah, just a really interesting, really different experience from, you know, usually when I apply for a card, it goes pending, they just ask for certain questions and then you get approved and the card gets sent out. So yeah, and that's about it. So if you guys have Bank of America, you guys gone through this, let me know how it went for you guys. And if you haven't gone through it and you're thinking about applying for Bank of America, you know, if you don't have a relationship with the bank, with Bank of America, now I don't have any relationships with them, don't have any cards, checking accounts, saving accounts. So, you know, for me, I guess, I don't know if this is just requested, but yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll keep you guys updated what's going on with the with the application process. So this is just like a little data point for you guys. You know, I want to, you know, help some of you guys out, because a lot of people, they do have questions, they don't know what to do, they don't know whether or not, you know, like to call banks or to send in documents. So I'm here to do that for you guys. So anyways, take care.